Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sweet. Yeah, you're perfectly lined up. I hope I am too.
This way, all the ways.
I feel like I was just blessed.
We're just blessed tonight. Yes, your audio and video are good. We're ready.
Good. Oh, Rippin' List, one of the greatest breakers in the history of cards, maybe the greatest, has asked, is this live?
No.
What's that red thing in the top right? Yeah, having trouble reading it. Live? I can't read that.
It's always fair to ask. It's always fair to ask. All right. Why are so many people requesting to join tonight? All right. Welcome everybody to the crossover. Today is October 6th. Fall is upon us. What's the fall weather looking like in Phoenix area?
Today was 100 degrees.
It's not fall.
Ooh, yeah, where we are, it's half of that.
It's a short window of it, like the mornings don't get warm until like much later in the morning, so that's nice. We have like the morning brisk and it gets dark early, so that's nice. How about you?
Yeah, no, it was about half of that. Really, for the first
50?
time in the season, yeah, it felt like fall here. Yeah, Mike Pinkerton says 52 here. Yeah, it's about what it was here as well.
I think we got last week was in the 80s, so I think this week was just kind of random. I think we'll be back on track. But I have the ASU football game tomorrow playing Colorado, and it's an afternoon game, and it's going to be 100 degrees. So that's going to be fun.
Wait, Josh is going to the Colorado game. Is he now on the Deion Sanders hype train?
No, he goes to all of Arizona State's games.
False.
No, true.
False.
Okay, Christina says false.
Interesting. That's true.
You go to every single Arizona State game?
I have season tickets. I've had them for 12 years. Yeah.
Shows how much you know.
Where are the pictures of him at the ball field?
Christina starts 0-1 after her winning take the other week that triumphed and was widely quoted.
We all know that was an enigma. Like, I will freely admit, this is more my speed. 0-1.
Do you mean an anomaly?
Yeah, that too.
0-2. Christina starts today 0-2.
We're gonna beat Colorado. I'm building it up. I'm hyping it up. I'm ready to be
Wait a minute.
But we're beating those fools.
What are the odds?
-4. It's the Colorado's -4, so they're favored even though it's here. But we're gonna win. We were
all right, well, that would be nice.
34 last week to USC. We were -34 2 weeks
ago,
and we lost by 12. So
okay, all right. Well, so a couple people in the chat say it's lagging for them. Others say it is not. Oh, that would be so annoying if it was lagging. Okay, sorry about that for those who are. It fixes itself over eventually. Like we've had this a few weeks. It does fix itself eventually.
Just close your eyes and listen to our voices. And look at the chat.
Yeah, I would rather not look at us for this show.
That's just good advice. That's just plain good advice.
If only this could be on a lag for everybody. All right.
Whenever I try to open the live,
it
shows me my story about crossover.
Okay, so some people are having difficulty opening this live.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
That's why the viewership is what it is.
Well, there are some very lucky people who are getting to watch this tonight.
Instagram made a new feature, and I hate it. And the feature is, if you go to a post, and you know how it sorts by top comments, whatever that means? I wanted to sort by newest comments so that I could catch up on the questions for the show, and my only two options now are top comments and meta verified. Like, I give a fuck who comments that's meta verified.
There they had to go and fix what wasn't broken.
So you're like top comments, so whatever algorithm they decided are the top comments.
No, I think it's by most liked.
And then meta which is like the people who pay them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now get top.
So you can't sort
Thank you for
by date. Imagine if Card Ladder sales history didn't have sort by date. Can you imagine the rage that would ensue?
We wouldn't survive.
I just don't understand how you can't let me sort by date. Just add a third one. I don't care.
Somebody would figure out a way to send a lethal
glitter bomb
circuit chip through the internet that would kill us. We would not survive that.
I don't know what that means.
A lethal. I'll stick to the tech. You guys, all hands. That'll be the agreement we have.
So is Chris like 1 for 1 right now?
Probably about 4 for 4, but we're not keeping score here. You are 0 for 3 though, because you just tried to explain to people what a top comment is. All right.
No, I was just mocking the fact that like people pay them.
Okay.
Is really what that is.
All right. Well, it's a little early in the show for mocking, but
it's never.
Is it actually?
No, because you guys were Christina's 0 for 1 after last week. Oh.
Christina wanted to get in on the mocking too. Okay. All right. Mail days, Josh. Do you have any mail days?
No. Do you?
No.
Good. Let's move on.
No mail days. I'm going to be living off of my most recent mail day for a while, which I cannot reveal either. In fact, MK Sports Cards made a story post that said, if your card is in the vault, do you even own it? And also, if it is in the vault, you do not get to show it off.
Yes.
You do not. Yes, you do not get to. So that, and I had to agree with that. I did comment, in fact, and agree with that. So
mail days where you're showing me a video of your computer screen is not ideal. Acquisition day, that's correct. Nailed it.
That's correct. Thank you, Amit. All right. Let's get to some, also announcements. Any Card Ladder related announcements?
The graph thing, do you want to show that? I'm not near a computer.
Yeah, sure. Our graphs got even more beautiful. I know some are wondering, how is that possible? It did happen. All right. So here is the CL50, which we will talk about a little bit later if we get to that question. And you can see now that the x-axis is just a little bit cleaner and simpler and easier. So it's broken down now into intervals 2020, 2016, 2012, 2008, and 2004. And if you shift around the time horizon that you want to view from, it just looks nice and neat. And then at the end here, I think the last 90 data points, Josh, is that right? Yeah, the last 90 data points get individual dots. So you can hover over them if you would like, and you can see more specific on a more granular level. But the scale remains the same. The scale remains the same across the x-axis, but you can just get a little more granular if you want. And I don't know, I like the way these graphs look. So, all right. Anything else you want to add to that, Josh?
No, it's kind of a nerdy, like deep thing, but I know a lot of people will appreciate it, so just pointing it out.
I think they will as well.
I have one.
Go ahead, Christina.
Well, now when you go to view all sales on a card's profile, if it's older than 90 days on eBay, instead of bringing you out to a link of like an eBay dead link, Josh has made it so it'll. What's so funny?
I was just
my idea. She's taking my idea.
Josh has made it. I hate both of you. Josh has made it so that it links back to the sales history listing so that you could look at the clear, crisp photo that he has in our database.
Oh, nice.
It's a funny story. She had a really good idea. I'll be honest. She had a really good idea, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Let me do that right now. And then she's like, are you going to steal the credit for this? And I was like, let's see what happens when we get to Friday. I don't know.
That's not even what happened. You literally wrote to me, it's done, but by Friday, you were like, good idea, congratulations. By Friday, I might forget who actually came up with this idea, though.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. 1 for 5.
Yes. Good job.
All right, let's get some questions.
I forgot about.
Here. Okay.
I did completely forget about that feature. To be honest.
Nobody is going to understand what that feature is after that. But somewhere along the line, somebody will use that feature in the near future, and they'll like it. But hopefully they'll credit Josh with it and not Christina.
I definitely was like, God damn it, why didn't I ever think of that? That's pretty smart.
Okay, all right.
All right, let's not go too far, Josh. Now you're just trying to like make me feel better.
All right, let's get to the questions. All right, lots of questions this week, and we won't run overtime this week, so let's try and get through as many as we can. All right, first question. Start off light as we usually do. It's KQ says, who should be favored to win the NBA title? And then some odds are provided. Boston is plus 380. Milwaukee is plus 380. Denver is plus 550. Phoenix is plus 550. The Lakers are plus 1,300. And the Warriors are plus 1,700.
I mean, clearly, like, Vegas is reacting to the two big trades for the Celtics and or just at least the off seasons of those two teams. I don't know. If we don't know, let's just err on the side of caution and put the favorites as last year's defending champs who didn't lose that. I mean, they lost a couple bench players, but come on, it's not like they lost a start, like a big starter or anything like that.
Yep. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who disagrees with Boston, Milwaukee, Denver, or Phoenix. There can be a tendency to say, well, these odds are implying that Boston and Milwaukee are better than Denver and Phoenix. No, they're not necessarily. What these odds might also be saying is that the West has so many good teams that's going to be more difficult to make it out of the West, and it might be a little easier to make it out of the East. The team that I think is a sleeper here is Golden State. I think Golden State's biggest weakness last year was their bench, and now they have one of the all-time great point guards who's probably going to be running that bench. And I think they just went from one of the worst benches to one of the best without losing anything else. So I like plus 1,700 for the Warriors. I bet their odds will be better than that sooner than later. Okay, excuse me. Let's go on to the next question here. This is from we have 3 questions on this topic. Drake's PC will kick us off with the first one. He says, thinking of the Taco Fractor / Taco Bell example. Okay, so let's just back up for a second. Let's just explain what the Taco Fractor thing is for anybody who doesn't know. Josh, do you want to go or do you want me to do it?
You can do it. I learned about it when you messaged me yesterday.
Yeah. I'm no expert on either, but my understanding of it is this. Each player has 5 Taco Fractors that in the Topps Chrome set for baseball. They have 5 copies of this Taco Fractor, and there's a total of 299 players who have one. And then there's a wild card Taco Fractor that covers everybody else for the purposes of the game to follow. So 5 Taco Fractors each. And then Topps issued a game where if you hold the Taco Fractor, if you hold one of the 5 Taco Fractors of the player who steals the first base in the World Series, you can redeem it for what's being defined as a lifetime free supply of Taco Bell, which is actually then quantified into it's basically a $15,000 gift certificate to Taco Bell. And it comes with, you also get a check for around $5,600. And that check you're supposed to use that check to offset the tax burden that you incur as a result of receiving the $15,000.
What the tax on that check?
Yeah. Okay. So did I leave anything out? That
sounds right? Okay. I didn't know there were 5 copies. That's news to me.
There are 5. Okay, now we can get to the questions on this topic. Drake's PC says, with the Taco Fractor promotion in mind, what kind of promotion would it take to get you to want to acquire a type of card that you typically would not pursue?
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it could be like redeemed for like a really cool like rookie card or like a previous card that they happen to have on hand or something, like, when they used to do buybacks or things like that, if they bought like a PSA 10 of a rookie card, that'd be cool. I mean, anything that kind of gets you straight cash is kind of boring. I could just gamble. So if it's like
right.
It's like re-engaging me in the hobby, that'd be neat.
Okay, so there's a little trend developing here in the chat. We have the Truly Fractor.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna say, what if it was like actually lifetime, like food from Chipotle.
Oh,
I mean,
the Chipotle
obviously.
Refractor?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, yeah, a Chipotle Refractor for Josh. Like, it's a LeBron. Like, but it's like a new card, so he doesn't actually want it.
Now you're really cooking, though. A LeBron Chipotle Refractor, that would be his #1 grail.
I had a question about this. Do you have to give up the card? Like, do you have to redeem it? And
Well, I think you have to, or else they have to mark it, because what if you sell it and somebody else tries to redeem it?
Well, it's numbered, right? Couldn't they just, like, mark it off, like, that serial number has been...
I don't know if it's numbered. Is it?
Well, you said it's out of 5.
I did say that, and I do know that, but I don't know if it's numbered.
Oh.
All right. If only there was a tool to look something like that up.
Yeah, Chipotle or LeBron Super Refractor. But I don't think LeBron's very good at stealing bases. He's more of like a dunker. You know, he's like a high flyer.
No, yeah, like it could be like the first player who dunks. Okay.
Christina's been over-explaining things all day.
No, keep going, man. I was confused, but now I'm getting unconfused.
Yeah, God damn it. We have...
I just leave and y'all can do the work later.
Okay. Listen. All right. It was a great explanation. All right.
I'm workplace bullying, okay? Like, I feel bullied today by the three of you, because Nick was in on it earlier today.
All right. Amit says the edibles fractor. That could be legal in some states. David says the fentanyl fractor. I don't know what that means, sir. They come.
Does it have to be redeeming for food, or are there any other like?
No, it doesn't need to be food. It could be the Rolex fractor, and then you could combine those watch and card dealers. They could bring their passions together.
I feel like my idea is better than all these, but what do I know? Well, you asked me about the taco fractor, and my initial reaction was, it's like kind of silly, but I don't hate it. Like it's not doing any harm to anybody. It's like this extra fun little thing to get people excited about opening packs.
Yeah, it is. I know there's like some good content here, but I can't quite tease it out. Mike Pickerson says you should give free card ladder for a year for the taco cards that don't win. Okay, I don't know about that, Mike. There's a lot of logistics involved in that. But how about the card ladder fractor, where somebody hits that one and then they get like lifetime free card ladder? The card ladder fractor. Christina needs a human resources fractor.
Would it have little ladders on it, or would it be like the CL logo?
I'll leave that up to you.
All right, I'll call Tops in the morning and try and get this design.
There you go.
Dude, David is like really feeling himself because he changed his avatar, so he's like exuding confidence now that he doesn't have that stupid punk as his avatar.
Welcome back. Welcome home, D.O. You strayed. You did well for yourself, and now you're home. And
he thought he'd be able to change that avatar, and I wouldn't make a big deal out of
it. He underestimated you severely. He underestimated you very severely.
And David's left the chat.
I wish it did that when people leave the chat.
All right. we got like an announcement, a notification.
Well,
all right.
Get a notification when people come in. It would be funny.
Tyler says I could be T&K of Taco Bell. I'm built different.
The Tyler Sports Guy fractor, that could hit a little bit. That would be the same price.
If they had a Baja Mountain Dew fractor that he could redeem, he would just buy all the boxes.
All right. WTF Frankie podcast says, what do you do with $15,000 at Taco Bell if you're one of the 5 winners? And when is the last time that you even went there?
Ooh. This is going to maybe surprise some people, but I've been on a little bit of a Taco Bell kick in the last couple months. It's making a little bit of a comeback. I think their menu is very good. I mean, obviously, It's got the classics, but I feel like they've always got a nice mix of like new stuff they're bringing in.
Yep. Agreed. Taco Bell's always been one of the top fast food restaurants for me. I think, I kind of go through the terrible trio of Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Subway. It's always one of those 3 in the top 3 for me.
Yeah.
So,
that's a solid. I mean, I hate Subway, but I agree on the other 2.
Yeah, no, Subway is a big deal breaker for a lot of people. And honestly, it doesn't make me look good saying it. It makes me look like a total fast food casual, like I don't know what I'm doing, like I don't know what I'm talking about. But I have to be honest to myself and throw Subway in there. And there will be some diehard Subway people out there who will be like, you know what? Thank you. I would definitely sell the Taco Bell $15,000 gift card and take 12 grand for it or whatever. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
man. That's a lot.
I'm not big on the like lifetime gift cards. I don't mind paying $10, every time. Like, am I really gonna go to Taco Bell that many times? To your point, like, I just do the math. Like, I'm not that much of a crazy person.
Yep. Fair. Speaking perhaps to my weird affinity for Taco Bell, when I learned that it was lifetime and then I learned it was 15,000, I was like, 15,000? Is that going to cover lifetime? And then
No, it's not.
Well, yeah.
Well, if it was a Chipotle gift card for 15,000, that's like a year's supply for me. It's not. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, he gets Chipotle like 3 times a week, right?
Like, the math is just so wonky on that. Yeah.
You should own a portion of Chipotle by this point.
I should look into franchising or whatever, or at least just like, I should just walk in and be like, how do I buy this place? And they're like, what are you talking about?
You should walk in and try to redeem your ownership stocks. Be like, look, the amount that I've put into this.
They definitely know who I am, and they'll be like, take a free drink today, or they'll let me have double meat for free. Like, they definitely know.
You're a VIP over there. All right. And one last question here from YS Sports Cards Yitz. He says, did you know that a wedding at Taco Bell costs $777 and it comes with swag? Nope. Did not know that.
You're writing that one down?
No, I'm writing down something else.
So you could like host multiple weddings for $500 and like save people money, but still profit.
Yeah, this is the part where someone says, the wedding industry is a scam, but not at Taco Bell. Only $777. What a deal.
Agreed. Big wedding is definitely a scam. Okay, what about this topic as a whole of the Taco Refractor? Do you like? Is it a net neutral for the hobby? Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah, I was saying earlier, but you texted me and I was like, it's not for me. It's kind of stupid, but I don't hate it. It's not I've seen dumber things. My only criticism was that it's very clear that it's like a corporate partnership with Taco Bell instead of, I'd rather see more partnerships with collectors. I get the corporate partnership thing. We understand how that works. We do a lot of that. So it makes sense for their marketing and their business. But it doesn't really hurt anybody. It's fun. It's a fun way to engage. And Taco Bell is I don't really think anyone hates Taco Bell. It's it gives you diarrhea. It's funny, but it's a fine business that nobody really hates. It's kind of silly, but it's fine.
Yep. And things like this are what create cultural nostalgia outside of just sports cards, but bringing in periods of culture, bringing in pieces of culture just writ large, not just sports card culture, but American culture, bringing it into cards, sort of crystallizing this moment. And when I was sort of sharing that thought with you, you came back and said, yeah, that makes you think about the Duncan Go Nuts insert set from the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably silly at the time, but now we look back on it, it's kind of neat.
Exactly. So these sort of mainstream crossover things are corny, but they also are capturing something. They're crystallizing a period of time. They're crystallizing the love of Taco Bell that the hobby has. And I could not go any further in this segment without shouting out Taco Bell's biggest advocate in the hobby, the Wax Museum podcast, who should have been brought into this. If Topps was truly in the know and paying attention to the hobby community, they should have brought Kyle from the Wax Museum into this promotion. That would have put it over the top.
Agreed. Big miss.
Big
he would have made it.
miss.
That would have made it pretty fun if he was involved.
Heck yeah. And you know what? If anybody deserves recognition, let's give some more to Kyle. He is widely recognized as one of the great podcast hosts of our era, but wouldn't hurt to give him some more.
What's your thoughts on, it kind of relates to this, and I can bring it back if you need, but what's your thoughts on having a ton of parallels in terms of spreading the hobby's focus and money across? Like, would you prefer it if we had like 5 and it made the top parallels, you know, more expensive and harder to get because more money is focused on that? Or is it okay to have 50 and you still go after the same, you kind of go after the same ones, but the money is spread out a little more so that it costs a little bit less? Like, that's my only kind of negative thought maybe on this Taco Refractor thing, is like we're focusing on something that's not actually where the hobby attention and money could potentially be put.
Say more about that. Like, what's your opinion on the question you just asked?
I go back and forth on it. Like, I was talking to this with Brett on his thing, and I was like, you know, Panini could make 1,000 and it wouldn't really bother me too much because I'm still focused on getting the gold or the black finite, or, you know, like, it doesn't matter to me. But if it made a drastic enough drop in the value of it, it might start to lose its, you know, its luster over time. If like there are 500 and the gold sells for a fraction of what it did when there was only 5, you know, I'm not sure if I'm overthinking it, but the Taco Bell example is like people are going to be spending money on these taco fractors, and we're going to forget about the actual super fractors, ironically enough. And like, shouldn't people be chasing the super fractors? Like, I'd rather have the super fractor of one of these like top postseason performing guys than I would. I mean, it might be worth more than 15 grand anyways, you know?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. And yeah, the risk of dilution is a scary one for parallels. Like with football, in 2012, Prism Football had the Pylon 1 of 1 and the Black Finite 1 of 1. Other than that, it was only the Black Finite of 1 of 1 up until this year. And then they tripled the number of 1 of 1s to 3. Mm-hmm. And they brought in the Black Shimmer, the Black Stars, and the Black Finite. And that definitely dilutes the appeal of the Black Finite 1 of 1 when you've got other 1 of 1s. And when you have collectors, honestly, like myself in some situations, who just might say, I don't know if the Black Finite's ever coming, so let me just settle for this other one, you know? And then it dilutes things. So I don't love it. That's just my opinion.
The 2005 Finest always bothered me because it's like the only set that I go after, you know, in terms of like the LeBron Gold stuff, where there are parallels that line up with modern Panini stuff, where there's like 30 of them or something. There's a lot. And I feel like that gold parallel that I have is one of my cheaper ones, even though it's like maybe the nicest looking one. And I feel like it's because there's just so many parallels, and there's like a gold X Fractor, so some people buy that instead of the gold, or they think, you know, the gold's serial number isn't low enough, so I'll get the black or the red or whatever. And it's like, it just sort of confuses and dilutes the money.
Agreed. All right, that's a sad topic. Let's go on to Mike Pinkerton 50, who says, will athletes getting more involved in the hobby push the hobby to grow again?
Yeah, I think so. I think we should want to have the athletes involved. I'm a little nervous to say that because I feel like it's gonna be this like influencer type discussion instead. But we should want the athletes to be involved in some way, I guess.
Yeah, the athletes are a bridge or a welcome mat that is discernible to people who are outside of the hobby. You know, if you want to share a piece of hobby news that somebody who, your friend or something who doesn't care about the hobby at all, hey, Tom Brady was at this card shop. Yeah, how cool is that? And they'd be like, oh, okay. It lends a certain air of legitimacy for possibly the best football player of all time to have gotten involved in our hobby. I think it does that. I don't know, though, if it does anything more than that. I also think it galvanizes the people who are already in the hobby.
Yeah.
It's like a way of being recognized or something like that. But I don't know if I don't know if Tom Brady getting into cards is actually creating any new collectors. Because is Tom into cards? Or is Tom just showing up because he's, there's not as a collector. He's showing up for business reasons. Maybe if Tom was a collector and was starting a Josh Allen PC or something, that would be interesting. All right. And then Brady starts his Instagram account, and before you know it, he's calling out influencers and bemoaning shill bidding. And he thinks that
One of us.
What would Tom Brady's Instagram hobby story look like on a given day?
That guy is so self-centered. I don't know.
It would be like, how dare Peyton Manning be 1/5 of my price?
He'd really get mad at Drake. He'd just be like, "Are you serious with this fucking Peyton Manning stuff?"
Well, you know what? Let me use that to get into another topic here, because Tom Brady, I think, is smart enough. He'd say, you know what? You know how I boost the value of my cards? Let me start offering some bounties on my cards to boost them up. All right, so KPB Cards says, are we in a junk bounty era? Okay. Let me write that down. That's kind of clever.
Junk bounty. I haven't seen very many lately. Is there something that you have that you know of that's happened recently?
The most recent bounty offered, not saying anything bad about these people because these are good people, but the most recent bounty offered was Bleecker, the great card shop of New York, Bleecker Trading, offered $1,000 bounty.
Yes.
If you pulled the Adam Lefkoe, Allen and Ginter card that says Bleecker on it, maybe, or something.
It says Bleecker Trade Night VIP.
Bleecker Trade Night VIP, and there is 1,000. Let me see. I think I can just. Yeah, I think I can just quickly pull up an image of this so that we all can not only imagine it, but we can actually see it. All right, here it is. Here's the most recent bounty brought to my attention. The $1,000 bounty alert. It's bounty season. The Bleecker Trading Trade Night VIP, $1,000 bounty for this card of Adam Lefkoe.
Should I pull a Josh Luber and put up a bounty for $1,001 for that card?
Christina Tricia says hello.
What's up, Trisha?
All right, Josh. That's just one bounty of many. There are other bounties involving the Babe Ruth Superfractor from Bowman Chrome, which I believe is a 119th year card.
You like those post-playing years, right? Those post-grandson years.
Love those. I'm gonna be collecting those 200th year Michael Jordan cards from the grave. Yeah. Lots of other bounties there. More and more bounties. Bounties is certainly becoming more of a thing. And I guess in the hobby, it always comes back to this. Oh, and there's one other question we had too from What Are We Doing Here? Thoughts on the recent popularity of putting bounties on cards. So the same idea here, right? All right. So it always boils back to the same thing. When people in the hobby are upset about something, it's usually because they feel like there's a wool being pulled over their eyes.
Yeah.
They feel like they're being deceived. They feel like there's something inauthentic about this, and that it's marketing-y, or it's gimmicky, or it's promotion-y, or it's influencer-y. And even if they don't express it that way, almost always, if they feel like they're being used as dupes and knaves, they will not enjoy it, and they will rebel against it. What do you think?
Yeah, it just comes down to like the intent. Like I'm pretty sure you put a bounty out for the McCaffrey Black Finite, right? I mean, that's like so there's an example of like the intent where like you actually really wanted that card and you were running out of ways to get it, and this was kind of like this is your way to do it. This is the only idea you could come up with, and it worked. Whereas like what you're saying, most of these, the ones I'm thinking of, it's like, it'd be like me being like, hey, I've got a bounty out for some random LeBron, and it's like, do you actually want that, or you're just trying to bring attention to the LeBron market to raise the value of your cards? It's like, you always say this, but the hobby is so quick to like find the BS. Like we're just really, really, we don't trust anything. We're just like, nope, this is BS. This is some influencer crap. And so like we're pretty quick to figure that out. And I feel like a lot of the bounties are probably that.
Yeah, and I think that's why people worry about it. People also just don't like being led to believe that the market value for something is not what it is.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you got any questions on shilling, but I've got some built up anger over shilling this week. It's just, it's come to a head.
Good. Go ahead. Yes, good. That's what we're going to next. Yes, Christina.
I have a problem with bounties being set by the people who sell cards. So when David Adams puts out a bounty, it makes me uncomfortable because there's a conflict of interest because they're driving up purchases and sales to products that they're offering. So like that's what I would say. Like
it just gets a little uncomfortable for me for a slightly different reason. That's a good point too, which is like it's increasing the price of the things that they're trying to sell, and it's obviously going to be a net positive for them.
Yeah, it's conflict.
And then the other thing though is that it gets really close to gambling, really close, because essentially then what's happening is that you're being sold a product, and you have a chance to win something, and the something that you have a chance to win is a check for X amount of dollars.
Yeah, it sets a value for the card.
Right. It's just it might seem like a small difference between that versus just the secondary market determining what the card is worth. And maybe it is just a small difference, but it is a difference. It's a difference between I can get a card and then put it in my collection or maybe see what the secondary market brings to it versus I am guaranteed this amount of money if I hit this particular card in a game of chance.
What would you think about, I don't remember the specifics of your Christian McCaffrey example, but what would you think about someone saying like, hey, I'm offering $5,000 for anybody that leads me to a deal of card X? Like you're sort of like offering up money. You're not setting the price, the market price, but you're saying like, hey, I really want help finding this thing. I'll offer money for any deal to whatever the price is.
I don't know. I don't see that as being, granted, I'm extremely biased because I reserve the right to use this method if there's a card out there that I really need, and I just want to find a way to incentivize somebody who's more skilled at finding cards than me to find the card, right? But I don't know. I worry that it sort of leads people to do bad things and hide things and stuff, or like it really commoditizes relationships, which happens obviously, but you don't love it. What do you think about it?
I don't know. Finder's fee. I don't mind it, I guess. To me, it's just like, what's your intent? Because a very obvious example is like, I literally pulled the 1 of 1 and then put out a bounty for it for like 10 million, but I actually own it because I pulled it last week, but you just don't know. It's like, okay, you're clearly trying to snake everybody here. This is bad.
Yep. And a softer version of that is putting out a bounty to the point that Christina made, putting out a bounty for something that hasn't been pulled yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's dicey. I don't, with all the criticisms offered, and I think they're valid, I still don't totally mind even bounties being offered on cards that have not been pulled out of products yet. I get the downside of it, and I agree. It's probably better if we didn't have it. But I don't totally hate it because it does add some level of excitement to opening boxes. And you know what? Christina and I open boxes from time to time. It just, I don't know, it does give us a little more excitement if we're opening a product that has a really big card in it, the chance at a big card, which we know we're never going to hit.
Yeah.
So let us have that. Let us have the little glimmer of hope that will soon be extinguished when we finish the box. But let us have the little. It doesn't hurt to be reminded of it.
Yeah, it's like the taco fractor, and it's an extra thing. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Shilling, Josh, you have some residual thoughts on shilling. We didn't have any questions on it, but
Yeah, no, I feel like I've just been getting a lot more noise on it lately. A few examples of like, I think Lamine posted one where a guy like blatantly shilled message. I don't know if it was Lamine specifically his card or something, but the guy messaging like, I never intended to pay. I was just trying to raise the value of it. Found his Instagram. It's like, oh my God, you're just like hiding in plain sight there, bud. A couple friend like Jordan's Cards 41 friend of the show. He messaged me and he's like, can you remove these like 9 eBay item IDs from sales history because these were cards that I sold and were not paid? And I was like, 9? That seems like a lot. All right, it was 7 or I don't remember the exact number, but it was like a lot. And he's like, that was from this week, dude. I have more coming. It's like, are you kidding? And he was noticing there's a lot more like unpaid going on right now, more than usual. I know a couple people that have been sold a card through Golden like more than 1 to 2 months ago, and they haven't been paid yet because the person who won the item didn't pay. So Golden's waiting to get paid before they can pay the seller. And there's this huge backlog, it seems, of this like unpaid state where people aren't getting paid by the consigners because the person on the other end hasn't paid, and they're not paying because someone else down the line hasn't paid. And it's just like this really, I know it's been an issue. I know shilling is like this constant discussion on Instagram and everyone's always upset about it. I just feel like this week it's really ramped up for whatever reason. It just feels more loud. And I just was getting really pissed. You know, I'm just like, this is pathetic. Like how bad is it where people just like aren't even paying? Like, why are you bidding on stuff? Just go do something else. Stop bidding. Just stop. We could blame eBay, we could blame auction houses, we could blame, or we just fucking stop bidding on cards we can't win. It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing to be in an industry where this just keeps happening, and I just kind of sick of it.
Yeah, it's very annoying. A related topic that came up this week was I was sort of wondering who is doing all of the buying and the selling right now in the hobby. Who is it, and why are they doing it? Just given the fact that there's not money to be made right now in flipping cards, except in rare instances. Except in very rare instances. But in the vast majority of cases, even if you pick a card to flip and it goes up 10%, where are you going to sell it and get the 10%? That 10% is going to get captured by sales taxes and by marketplace fees and advertising fees. So I was worried about that. But then I had somebody write to me and make a very astute point. And the point was, it seems likely that a lot of the people in the hobby who are doing the short-term transactional stuff, they aren't keeping close enough records to whereas they actually realize they're losing money. and if they were paying close enough attention to know that they were taking small loss after, but that's not how they operate. They have other income streams, maybe a job, maybe something else, that they do, maybe multiple jobs, maybe they have investment income, and it's coming in, and then they buy a card, and then they sell it, a few months later, and they're just like, wow, I just sold this card, this is great. And, not really keeping clean account of the fact that they just lost, 20% of the card or something like that. And especially once all the the fees really obscure it too, right? Because the fees can turn a small gain into a big loss if the consignment fees or the marketplace fees, and then if everything adds up to 15-20%, that can hurt a lot. So that reminded me, your shilling observations and the non-pay stuff bled into this as well, because I'm just thinking, like, obviously there's some number of people who are creating phony sales for the purpose of trying to help them sell. Maybe they own a copy of the card, maybe it's their copy in particular. But then it made me also think about how many people are out there selling cards and they're just not even aware that they are taking losses right now in this market.
Yeah. And I let it stew for a while today and thought more about it. And I was thinking about how people just aren't making money in cards right now, like you said, and they're getting frustrated. And we had this period of time where everyone was making money. Every time you sell, it sold for more than the last one. And people got really excited about that. And it became this thing where it's like, oh, I could just buy crypto or I could buy Top Shot and sell it a week later and get rich. And we sort of lost sight of, like what it takes to actually build something over time and have patience and like actually work hard and build a collection and save your money over several paychecks, earn the money the right way, buy the card after lots of hard work. Instead it was like this, I need this thing now. And a lot of people just got super greedy and, FOMO, and everyone just wanted to jump in and get rich on this stuff. And now that it's that's not possible anymore. Now they're just taking fucking shortcuts in other ways. Oh, I'll just, it's not working. It's not, and I'm not getting my way. So might as well just freaking cheat, get real greedy and just start cheating and start shell bidding, start freaking pumping up. I'll just do whatever it takes. I got to get that money back. I got to get back to when I was making money 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I am mystified that the hobby has retained as many people as it has. I just am. I'm baffled by it. Like when I was, Card Ladder has its industry tab, which shows numbers like big picture numbers. And some of the big picture numbers that just make me think about this are, if I look at, I need to refresh here. If I look at the total monthly volumes for, I think I have something messing up on my end. Something's not loading right. But basically, what these numbers show is that over the last 2 years, the total monthly volume of the secondary market for trading cards, it was a bit higher on average in 2022 than it is in 2020, and than it is in 2023. But there are months in 2023 that actually have higher volumes in 2022, like the month of August. The month of August 2023 had a higher sales volume on the secondary market than the month of 2022 did. That's astonishing. How is that even possible? Is what I think to myself, because I'm about to get to a question from Drake, which talks about the Card Ladder indices that are going right now, and how they're performing. And there's just nobody's making money. Nobody's making money. If that's the primary driver, it's been 2 years since people were able to buy and enjoy market appreciation in any sort of a broad sense. So, do you have any thoughts about that? Or can I move on to Drake's question here?
You had a whole series of stories on this where you were talking about, you were kind of making the observation that the money was spreading across different cards, right? Like as we got more towards ultra modern, the money just had to keep getting moved around. We talked about this earlier in the episode where, having multiple parallels diverts all the money. And so you think, mass printing, new parallels, new sets coming out, they're not slowing down, but, people are still spending the same overall. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just take it for granted, and I don't know that this is true or not, but let's take it for granted that the demand for cards has been relatively stable. Let's make the assumption, let's grant the assumption that there's been $200 million available to spend on sports cards on trading cards in the secondary in the secondary market for the last 2 years, which roughly speaking is close to accurate. If that's true, and we have a market and environments where a lot of the most iconic, recognizable, highly transacted cards are dropping in price to the tune of 30, 40, 50%. And we have an environment where every week there's new football, baseball, basketball products coming out, new breaks to buy into, new singles leaking to the secondary market, new cards being graded and then sent to the secondary market. We really have in this environment where, prices are coming down, demand is staying relatively flat to the tune of about $200 million a month to spend is being spent in the secondary market. I can point to the increase in the number of available cards as part of the reason for declining prices and loss of confidence and so forth. But it still just is astonishing that this number has been that there was more money spent in the secondary market in August of 2023 than there was in August of 2022. It's just a mind-blowing number, given how far the average price of most cards has come down. Not all cards, right? There are some cards that have done well even in this market, but well, here's Drake's question, which is what I want to lead into next. Drake says, what are your thoughts on the card ladder indices year to date? And are there any that surprise you? So if I set the card ladder indexes page to year to date, I've got my custom index here, which is the 1986 Fleer Jordan. It's all grades of that card. That one's up a little bit less than 5% year to date. Wrestling is up 16%. Pokemon is up 3%. Other than that, we've got probably 25 to 28 or so categories that are down. Some of these are, categories based on value, high end, low end, mid range. Some are sport categories. Basketball is down 32%. Baseball is down 15%. And then as I was digging into this is what really stuck out to me. If you look at the CL50 and you zoom out to take a wide view, an all-time view, going back to 2004 to today, one thing that you'll notice is that all our indexes start at 1,000, and the CL50 is at a value of 13,685 today. So this index has increased a little less than 14-fold over the last 19 years, which is a lot. But the thing that stuck out to me was that the value of the CL50 today is around 13,600. The value of it in late 2020 was around 13,600. November of 2020, the CL50 was at about 13,600. In other words, all of the gains that the CL50 has realized over the last 3 years have been entirely given back. They have been given back. Pretty much the entire pandemic era has been given back to the market. So that stuck out to me. We're at a 3-year low. The card ladder 50 is roughly speaking at a 3-year low. That is incredible to think about. Do you have any reactions or thoughts?
What's been inflation in the last 3 years? Bad.
Yeah. So in real terms, we are down. The card ladder 50. So the talk of the pandemic fueled boom has busted. It is busted. Some cards are worth more than they were in the pandemic. Some are worth less. The card ladder 50 has always been a pretty decent snapshot of the highly transacted, iconic, quote unquote, investable cards. All the gains are gone. All of them. They've all been given back to the market. The pandemic era, it's over. We're back to where we were in late 2020 when sports were restarting and so on and so forth. All right, now granted, there still is something to be given back from the first part of 2022, like the the early days of the pandemic. But I just find that to be a little bit muddy because there was also The Last Dance. There was also the tragic passing of Kobe. There was other things that sort of were muddling or mixing signals in terms of what was impacting the market. But the thing that is clear is that we are at to a 3-year low, on the card ladder 50, which is a wake-up call in the sense that we have watched a big bubble burst, and we are at a 3-year low now.
Back to reality.
Yeah, back to reality indeed. Okay, so then Perimeter Collectibles has a question aimed at you, Josh. He says it's been a couple months since Josh called a market bottom, but unfortunately we've still sustained declines since then. Do you have any revised thoughts on when we might hit a bottom based on what you've seen since?
No, I've learned not to call bottoms anymore.
And also the idea of a bottom is whose bottom are we talking about? Because if you look at the basketball index, if you look at the basketball index over the last 3 months, your bottom call was good. The basketball index, which is just short of 16,000 cards, is up 0.5% over the last 3 months. And I think that's the index or the category of cards that you're most finely plugged in with.
I don't remember exactly. I thought I was talking about the LeBron bottom in terms of I was buying stuff what I thought was the bottom of what I buy, but I don't remember what I said, so I don't want to try to weasel my way out of that bad prediction.
Yeah. I think the predicament that we have right now in cards is that we've got a new manufacturer on the block who needs to make a lot of cards and needs a lot of customers buying those cards in the form of them coming out of packs and in breaks in order to justify their participation in this industry. And it also occurs to me that the more new product that continues to saturate the market, especially the secondary market, when those singles come out of the packs and go into eBay and the secondary marketplaces, the more that's going to dilute the supply and the more that's going to push the average price down. So the only thing that can sort of break that, it seems to me, is if there's a real material increase in the amount of people participating in the hobby and or a real material increase in the amount of money being put into the industry. Otherwise, we're going to be in this mixed bag of results. And you still will see pockets of things do well. So if I go over to Card Ladder's Players Index and I set it to year to date, and then let me just filter to indexes that have 5 cards or more, you're still going to see a ton of green. You're going to see tons of cards that are in the 100% increased, and you're seeing characters from TCG, which we've really been increasing our TCG offering lately. I mean, I'm just scrolling here through players and characters that have seen increases. I'm still in the 70%. There's still a lot. When you zoom in closer to particular players and particular characters, you still see plenty of things that are trending up. But there are plenty more trending down, and category-wide, they're definitely trending down. So I think that's the market that we're in for. It speaks to all those voices, Josh, and yours was one of the loudest, that was reluctant to celebrate prices going up 2, 3, 4x in a short period. Because now we're paying for that. And now we're on this downward slope, and we don't know when that slope stops sloping down. And we've invited in massive corporate presences that need to get their investment back. And it's created an environment that just makes it really tough to feel like we're going to have any sort of market-wide appreciation anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that at the time was like the collectors that I know, the people that are in this space buying this stuff to actually hold and keep in their PCs, they're no longer willing to buy this stuff because of where prices are, and that's when it starts to feel to me like, you know, we're making a little bit of a bubble here, because when the people who don't actually want to own this stuff continue to buy it, like eventually they're going to get bored and move on, and I feel like we're dealing with like this 2-year tail of that type of person, just like still selling stuff off, still like trying to pay back all their debt of all the stuff they bought, and it's just like, I don't know if we're ever gonna get out of it. It's every time I see a PWCC or Golden Auction, it's just like the same cards that have been relisted or bought and sold within 6 months because they needed to pay off whatever, and it's just like, until, like I keep saying, until we get to this point where collectors are the ones that are willing to buy this stuff at the prices that they're at and keep it in their collections, we're just going to keep getting crushed.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Here's another topic that I think is on people's minds for at least somewhat market-related purposes. If I can editorialize a little bit on the topic of consolidation briefly, I can see somebody thinking that now is not the worst time to consolidate, because people with large sums of money, I don't know why they would be looking at cards right now, unless they love cards, right? Which is great. That's me, and that's you, and that's Christina. That's probably a lot of people listening to the show. We're going to buy cards through the highs, through the lows, through the middles. But people who are like, yeah, I have a couple $100,000, should I put it into a card where there's a decent chance that it could slip in value? Very different story from 3 years ago. Or should I just put it into this certificate of deposit and get a 6.5% guarantee?
Exactly.
You know, or should I, put it into maybe a slightly riskier bond? That's when you have the high interest rate environments, the cost of spending money is so high. It's so high. You can throw money into a high yield savings account and have a locked in 4 or 5% annualized return.
Right.
All right. So I don't see people who have a few $100,000 and like to put money into cards as opposed to putting it into just something safe like that and just ride out. This high interest rate environment isn't going to last. So to put it somewhere into there for the time being, and then guess what? When the high interest rate environment ends, you can take that money out of the bonds or once they mature, or out of the high interest savings account, the high yield savings account, and then you go buy your card, and you got more money to spend on your card.
Yep.
So I just think that there's the available people who are willing to speculate on cards, or even collectors who are willing to allocate a large amount of money on cards. I have to think that number is at the lowest it's been in many years, in 3-4 years. So that leads into this consolidation topic. Last I checked, a high yield savings bond won't get you tacos for life. Okay, that's good. So when I think about this, I say it makes sense that people are thinking about consolidation right now, because they're thinking, you know what, this is the least competitive it's been in a long time to get the best cards.
Yes.
This is the lowest amount of competition that I've had to face as a collector for big cards in years, literally in years.
Yes.
I think that's a factor. I think people are thinking about that. And that's why I think consolidation is sort of coming to the front of people's minds, also because it still isn't the worst time to sell your cards that are a few $100 or a few $1,000. Though there's still a strong buying presence there, and the opportunity cost of a few $1,000 is pretty small. If you throw $1,000 into a high yield savings account, or you throw it into a card, not a big opportunity cost there. The opportunity cost scales as you go to larger sums.
Yes.
All right. Do you have thoughts on this?
Yes. All the things you're saying make total sense, like on a fiscal standpoint. And if I didn't have this like deeply rooted obsession with getting specific cards and like collecting, I would just put all of my money into these 5%, 6% CDs, like you said. It just it doesn't make any sense to do anything else financially. Like you said, if I bought a $100,000 Jordan, whatever, Fleer or whatever, like, and I know it's gonna be flat or go down 5%, why would I not just take that, put it into the 6%, get it a year from now, and basically make 10%? Like, why would I not do that? It just doesn't make any sense. But the part of your argument you didn't bring up, but you're bringing it up now, is like, for the people who are after specific cards, now is the chance, because and this is exactly what you and I have been doing. We're noticing that, like, hey, there's a bunch of these like 101s and like cards that are really low serial numbered, older cards for me that are like low serial number that are coming up for sale that I've never seen for sale in the 7 years I've been in the hobby. And it's like, or they had sold for 5x, 2 years ago versus what you can get them for now. And there's no competition. When you said that, I was, nodding my head vigorously, because the competition part is like, everyone's thinking what you're saying. Why don't if I have money and I don't actually care about owning that card for myself, I'll just put it somewhere else. So that competition is gone at that level. But me, as the person who wants to get that card, if there's a gold prism out of 10 or something that you've just been dying to get, consolidation is the perfect time for you right now. If you're not worried about like making a bunch of money on buying that rare card, you're thinking like, hey, it used to be 5 times more valuable than this. I'll probably lose on this in the short run, but it's a card that I'll never see again. I'll never have a chance to get it again. And if I look up in 10 years, hopefully we're back on track, and I won't care about that like 5% short-term loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. and when this high interest rate environment ends, and it eventually will end, it's creating a really weird macro environment right now. It's really to the point too where it could potentially impact stock investors and retail investors, and it can create a domino effect in that way too. And it's also very difficult to buy a house right now relative to a year, 2 years ago, when the high interest rate environment didn't exist. So eventually it's going to end. And then when it does, then the opportunity cost of money goes way down. And now you don't have a place where you can go get a guaranteed 5, 6, 7% just by letting your money sit in this account. So when that time comes, it might get more competitive again for the cards. But while the high interest rate environment exists, I think the opportunity cost of money is high. And I don't think you're going to see a lot of participation relative to what we saw a year, 2, 3 years ago. I don't think you're going to see a ton of participation at the higher level.
Yeah. There's just like, it's funny because most people that we talk to, or that you would just like randomly ask, if they knew they were going to lose 10% of a card, they just wouldn't want it. But for you and me, like, there's some cards where it's like, I'll still buy it. I need that card. It's like, it's going to fit into my collection. I want it. And if I can consolidate and lose 10% on fees and still consolidate into it, I'm still going to do it. So there is a small group of us weirdos out there that still want the cards.
Yeah. And then hopefully we look back in 10 or 15 years and we say, or 5 years, and we say, man, I'm glad I bought it then. And I'm glad I didn't wait for it to come out now. All right, that's obviously always the hope. All right, now questions about consolidation. So Hillcrest03 has a longer one. He writes, everyone preaches consolidation, but nobody talks about leading up to consolidating with a concerted effort. In a declining market, I find myself going farther and wider to buy and accumulate important cards while being aware that they are not forever cards. Mm-hmm. I plan to hold them for 1 or 2 or 3 years and then leverage for a future consolidation. This doesn't mean that I don't care about these cards or that I'm blindly making careless purchases. Quite the contrary, I continue to hunt down consolidation cards with the same vigor and the same effort as my chase for long-term PC cards. These two things happen in concert with one another for me, and they keep things interesting in between the big long-term PC cards. Does anyone else purchase cards that they know will only be an affair, but likewise without the intention to flip, with a longer-term lens aimed at improving their collection? I'm just 4 drinks in on a Friday night, guys. I hope that made sense. Love the show. Cheers.
I think this is one of those questions that I don't really need to answer. It was a really well thought out comment that was typed up, so appreciate that. That's well said.
Yeah, and this is something that resonates with me. I find Christina and I doing this even unconsciously or as stacking slabs, as Brett called it, those dopamine hits of just continuing to pick up cards as we go. Even if, I think a card that truly reaches Grail status for me, I think I see that card become available, a card for my and Christina's collection, once every 2 years, something like that, on sort of that type of time frame. Well, it'd be pretty boring if we only bought one card every 2 years. So we pick up smaller cards, semi-grails or non-grails at all, but just fun cards to own. And that's always been part and parcel of collecting for us. Even going back to the very early days of Michael Jordan collecting 7.5 years ago now, and sort of just picking up inserts along the way, and then the insert that we really wanted just showed up. All right, time to make a Facebook sale post and sell all these and go buy the one that we really wanted. So that definitely happens for us.
It's like a lack of confidence in our future selves. Like we get to we're like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to get that card, so I'm just gonna get these. I'll buy this one now instead. This is all that I can get. And then a year down the road, you're like, oh my god, I can get that card now. Either the prices come down or whatever, and the only way I can get it is if I sell what I bought in the last year when I said I couldn't get it. So like there is a bit of a, like you outgrow kind of what you thought you would, and now it's time to like move up before you were potentially ready to do so.
For sure. Cardi C Sports Car says, what do you do after you consolidate? So now we've gone through Hillcrest's scenario where you're acquiring these semi-grails or just dopamine hits, and then you consolidate them into something bigger. Okay, now you've consolidated. Now you have that dream card that would have been unreachable probably had you not built up the equity in your collection over the time of bringing together all these smaller cards. What happens after you consolidate? Do you start buying low-dollar cards to just consolidate again? Or what do you do?
No, this is a big misconception about the consolidation one. It is one way of doing it, and the last question was kind of implying like I'm buying these knowing they're going to be a future consolidation. For me, I'm never in the moment thinking like I'm going to buy this to consolidate it in the future. I'm always thinking like what card do I want to get right now? What's like my grail? What's like the chase? What's the rare card? It's just that I don't know how I'm going to feel a year from now when I take inventory of everything I have. Like some of it might be I'm less excited about some of it that I bought over the last year than others, and I take all of that, some of it, and I buy and I trade it up and sell it and get something better for the next year. Like I'm never thinking about it more than like a week or two ahead, really, to be honest. Like the stuff that I'm buying now, if you ask me today, I'm like, these are my grail cards today. This is what I'm chasing. These exquisite LeBrons. This is it. This is it for me. Like this is the end of my road. A year from now, I'm probably going to be looking at 13, 14 of these or however many I have and being like, these 7 suck. I'm going to sell these 7 and get one LeBron, logo man or whatever it is, whatever that new chase is. You know what I mean? Like I'm not in the moment. I'm never really thinking about it like that.
Yeah. That speaks to the ever evolving notion of what our most desired cards are. And sometimes you have to own a card to realize whether or not you agree with the consensus concept that it's a grail. I remember, Playmaker's Theater, widely considered a 90s grail, but for you, once you got it, you didn't like it.
Yeah. But I mean, same for your Jordan stuff where you're like, you got to the sort of the peak of this 90s stuff with like the rubies and some of the other ones. And then now your tastes have changed, or you just like, you reach the mountaintop of that and you're just kind of like bored of it, or it's not rare enough, or whatever's changed for you, or he's not active and you want to be rooting for active. So you get this, get this little sly side look at some of those Jordans, and maybe you sell two and you buy one like Jokic Black Prism. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to always be that you don't like the card or that you've moved on. It's sometimes you just, your tastes change.
Dude, yes, of course they do. Like they're, I don't know if this statement is factually true or not. So perhaps a scientist out there can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even know what type of scientist.
Why are you looking at me?
What type of scientist would correct this? Christina, just listen to what I say and then tell me what type of scientist would be needed to correct this. But I believe, I don't even know if I believe it. I'm going to make a hyperbolic statement. The taxonomy of sports cards, all the different sports, the different manufacturers, the different products, the different product configurations, the different checklists, the different inserts on the checklist, all the different parallels, all the different variations. The complexity of that system is more complex than the animal kingdom.
Biology.
All right, so a biologist out there,
or a physical anthropologist.
There's like a trillion beetles or something, right? Like a trillion insects, or isn't
biologists.
Yeah, well, allow me to introduce you to Panini's parallel list.
No, I know. I'm just like, I think there's like I think it's an insect where there's like, we haven't even discovered, there's like 3 million of them. But you're right, there's a lot.
The point I'm making, I'm saying it emphatically, dramatically, and probably incorrectly.
I don't know.
That's fine.
To make the point that this system of cards that we have historically and going into the future are very complex. And when you find yourself with some hobby downtime, I know it's not as flashy or as exciting or as fun, but researching products, researching players, researching sports history, researching sales histories, researching checklists, digging the two go together, like sales history, researching the sales history of things, and researching checklists. They're very complementary. All right, they're
You've opened up so many like animal topics that people are going to start in the chat just going after now. So nicely done.
Thank you. I also have contributed a title. There's so much to study there that if ever you do find yourself in the letdown after the Grail acquisition, and that does happen, take that time and do research. At least that's what I like to do. Let's put it that way. That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
I recently acquired a card of a new player, a new PC player, and I've spent the last several weeks in downtime compiling the total list of every single rookie card, every single rookie parallel for that player, and then I've been finding different ways to categorize them and think about them.
Yep.
This is a way to spend your hobby time wisely. Without needing to spend any of your hobby money, especially when that reserve is probably greatly depleted after your Grail acquisition.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is there may come a time in the future when you become more interested in a new species the new of the hobby, and you like it so much that you like it more than what you've done in the past. And hey, look, I've got all these cards that I've built up over time that I could use to sell to fund my new excitement, right? And you could just like sell them, and that's another form of consolidation. You just change and pivot over.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, but to answer Cardi C's question really directly from my point of view, what do you do after consolidation? Yeah, research is definitely one thing that I love to do. But then the other thing that I definitely do as well is, I just start buying small cards again. As the opportunity rises and the card I like shows up, I do just start making a new pile again. It does happen.
Sadly, I don't know if this is like post Tesla me. I just have gotten really bored of that.
That's fair. Yeah, once that Tesla's driving you around, gives you more time to think about things like this.
Like, I would love to just get excited about buying a $50 card again, but unfortunately it's been tougher. Unless it's a girl. Because I bought all the dang girlies. There's nothing left.
Right.
Dude, I've been finding that about Kleba too. Like, I'm not getting excited about the cards that are being listed on eBay, and I'm just like, what happened to my super collector excitement where I was just buying like all the print run? And it's really hard for me to like purchase it. Like, I just like can't justify it right now. Like, I'm just like, really, like $20 for this card that I don't even really want. Like, next, what else is being posted?
It's got to be like better than all the girlies I currently have. That's the one that would get me excited. So it's like I need a new player, a cheap player.
Yeah. And you know what else we need too, I think, a little bit to get the juices flowing again, to get the excitement going again, is like some high profile auctions of something that will create an interesting result. And I do think that the Golden and the PWCC auctions that just started have some really good cards in them that I'm like excited to watch these end.
I'm glad
one of those auctions has the Grail of all Grails for one of my PCs, so maybe that's why I'm a little excited. Go ahead. What were you saying, Josh?
I'm glad one of us is excited.
Yeah, you are not. Do you want to rant about that a little bit? This is a funny topic.
This is like when someone crossed their Luca Gold and your pop doubled and you were really, really pissed for like a long time. That's how I feel this week.
Yep.
Like seeing half my fucking collection on Golden right now is not making me happy.
Yep. That I'm still pissed about that.
Yeah. That's gonna be me for like I'm just gonna randomly text you like curse words.
Yeah. Love seeing my Pop 1 become a Pop 2 after 5 years. That's just...
It's the same as like there's a card in Golden that has I'll explain in a second, Christina. There's a card in Golden that has never sold publicly ever, and I own one, and now it will. So my Pop 0 my 0 sales history is going to 1, the infinite percentage boost. This is a fake Hogwarts window. We hosted a Harry Potter birthday party last Sunday at my house for my son turning 8, and our whole house was a Harry Potter Hogwarts themed school. We had the I don't know what it's called, Christine. You probably know, but like the lights on the ceiling, or it's like I guess it's maybe the what'd you say?
The floating candle.
Yes, we had that in my foyer, my walkway.
I like didn't want to ask, but I've been like dying for pictures because I'm sure that your wife did like an amazing job. So if you could send me pictures, because I had the benefit of sitting down with Sammy and like writing up a wish list for his birthday party, but never got any of the like what it looked like, and I've been dying since last week.
That's my bad. I have pictures. I'll send you them.
Thank you.
That's a good suggestion from Perimeter.
Right. Well, and then dump them all a couple months later.
In the name of consolidation.
That's a nice way to cover over that. Yeah, smart.
Aesthetic Cards has the final question on consolidation for today. He says, I would still eventually consolidate, even if money were no object. How about you? And I put this to a poll. Yes, would you still consolidate, even if you had infinite money?
Yep.
Or no, you would just have everything. And the poll was about 60-40 the last time I checked in favor of yes, still consolidate.
So this is like a topic of like having too much plastic in your house?
Yes, sure. You could look at it that way.
Is that what that is? Like a hoarding thing? Like I just don't want this much stuff?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, less is more. That's how he ended his statement. Less is more.
If you ever come over to my house and I make you the world's best pizza and I'm not able to bring you my whole PC in my arms, then I have too many cards. That's how I think about it.
Fair enough. That's what this question is getting at in a nutshell. I can honestly say, just like if I had infinite time on this earth, I would not nearly be as motivated to do things. If I had infinite money, I would not be nearly as motivated to sell things. So I would just see myself continuing to collect cards and just getting more and more and more. And you know what? If I had infinite money, I would probably just win every card that ever came to auction ever. And to the chagrin of the hobby. And then, you know, when the pile of slabs became so large that it was an environmental hazard, I would be forced to sell some of them and let somebody else have a turn.
I have a trivia question for Christina on Harry Potter. One of my son's friends was here, and he had a shirt, and it was a picture of Harry Potter as a very, very young boy. So it was clearly like from the early part of the movie series. And the shirt said, "What am I?" What's the answer to that question?
What am I?
Yeah, it was a picture of Harry, so it was like Harry Potter was saying, "What am I?" I got this right. I walked right up to this kid and I told him this sentence, and he was like, "Yes." I was so proud of myself. Come on.
I don't know.
Oh, you're going to be so mad if I tell you.
I am going to be so mad.
I know, someone in the chat. Harry Potter says, "What am I?" What's the answer? There we go. We got it. First one. You're a wizard, Harry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I read the book, so I'm sorry.
Even Stiff got it. I said it in the accent, and the kid was so impressed.
Oh, that's great. All right. UFC Black Card. Josh, I think this was your favorite question of the week, your favorite topic of the week. UFC Black Card said, please discuss paying for your PC as a topic.
Oh, yes. I thought you were being sarcastic.
Nope.
It is my favorite topic because I love budgeting and talking about finances. And so, read the question again.
The topic was simply paying for your PC.
Yeah. Let's make it cool again to have a real job, take a portion of your money that you make, set it aside, buy some cards. That's the way. It's like, I was saying this earlier, but people just want this like shortcut of like, how do you pay for cards? It's like, oh, I have a job and then I make money from that job and then I take the money and I buy the cards. What? I thought you were like flipping, and I thought you had some like master plan of all the cards you were buying at, you buy football when it's basketball season, and you buy basketball when it's football season, and you sell them at the perfect time, and you make all this money, and then you buy a grail, and then all of a sudden you're a genius. And I just don't think that is nearly as feasible or possible. And it also wasn't that, and when I first started 2016, their only way to do it was spending money from your day job. So I'd love to make that cool again and bring that topic back.
Love it. Could not agree more with that. All right. 626 Sports Card says, what cards would you like to see come up for auction that you have not seen come up for sale?
None of them. Zero. None of the cards. This is a bad question.
Josh is on the totally opposite wavelength of you right now, 66. I have one, though. I would like to see the Michael Jordan PMG Green come. It's been 3 years since one came to market, and it's time. It's time.
All right, fine, I got one. A PSA 8 Mickey Mantle. I haven't seen one of those in 2 days.
Well, you are in luck because there's already one over $500,000 on Golden right now.
God. That's the only reason I made that post, was that like I see that card sell every month, and it always sells for fucking $500,000.
Dude, the PSA is going to go for well over $500,000, my friend. But yes, your point is well taken.
It's just like the market cap of Mickey Mantle cards is more than anybody.
Yeah Man Cards says, what do you guys think about people who say player X, their card should be more or less based on the value of player Y, especially when you are comparing across sports?
I feel like it's a good way to do it. We do that a lot. I feel like it's usually like it depends on what angle you're thinking of, like the pessimistic or the optimistic route of like, oh, this guy is way overpriced. He should be half of this guy, or I don't know. The cross sport one's tough because, and I've been struggling with this, and I've been trying to get your help with this. Like some of this football stuff is a lot cheaper than basketball, player to player. I'm trying to think of a good example, but like the easiest one for me is Mahomes. Like Mahomes is basically the equivalent of like, 1-to-1 in terms of price. He's not equivalent to like the top basketball. He's much lower on the rung. He's like more like, top like 7 or 8 in terms of value, just because football is quite a bit cheaper than basketball. So that's been interesting to me. Like why people would rather buy Jason Tatum than Mahomes, for example. That I feel like that's a pretty decent value comparison. I just don't understand why you would do that. I'd rather just have Mahomes.
Yeah. Yep. It's unavoidable that people are going to make those comparisons because people are constantly evaluating all the options available for where to spend their money. So it's unavoidable that people are going to make that comparison. But if you want to be really prickly about it, no analogy is perfect, right? I mean,
Prickly.
Yeah. And I think Mohammed is coming from that point of view on this question.
Yeah.
Where I sense this question's coming from a place of frustration that some player that he likes is being unfavorably compared to the cards of a player from a different sport, perhaps.
Remember when I did those posts where it would show a modern player whose prices are like 100x what I deem to be a similar-ish skill player, but they're an older player and they're kind of past their prime and their prices have come way down. And the argument being like, why would you spend 10x the price of something when it's going to go down to this level of the future version of themselves, kind of thing? And this question reminds me of that.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely is that. Yeah. As long as you understand, as long as like the audience understands that these are not perfect comparisons, but that they're being used to make a broader point. Like for example, Christine and I collect Le'Veon Bell and we collect Christian McCaffrey. And big fan of Le'Veon Bell, was very helpful to me in multiple fantasy seasons, was at one time a top 5 NBA player, NFL player, as voted by his peers. But he's also a constant reminder of what's going to happen to the values of Christian McCaffrey when he retires. Okay, so it's nice to have that little reminder. And there are big entertainment premiums built in to collecting active players. And right. I completely understand why I pay that entertainment premium myself. I understand why. It's so much more fun when I have players that I really like rooting for and then I collect as I watch seasons unfold. It's so much more fun that way. So, but that's an entertainment premium, and that premium goes away when that player's done playing. That's just a reality of it. So it's good to keep that stuff in mind. But also, like, I don't go quite as far as others do, because I remember being in the 90s, and you know what? It would have made a lot more sense to collect Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Dr. J and Moses Malone and Oscar Robertson and Will Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But I was collecting Chris Webber, and I had his 93 power in the key insert, and I definitely wouldn't have traded it for the rookie card of any of those other players. Because you know what? That's my era. That's what was on. And then now later here, that's what I have nostalgia for. And I think that the nostalgia factor is directly tied into the number of participants and the passion and the excitement and the cultural moment surrounding cards. And the cultural moment that we've seen from 2017 to today, or, whenever you want to start that cutoff, maybe it's 2019 to today, 2020 to today, the cultural moment we've seen in my opinion, it will create a lot of nostalgia 15, 20 years from now. I don't know if that's even a controversial statement or not, but it's been a very passionate and highly participated era of cards. All right.
As we talked about, where you can't build the best PC of someone unless you collect them while they're active and pretty young. Like, I'm thinking of Bob Amtrak. I'm never going to catch him because he took the gamble during LeBron's rookie year when, like you said, at that time people were like, why are you buying LeBron? Why don't you just buy Jordan, and why don't you just buy Kobe, like Shaq or whatever? These guys are already established, That same sort of criticism was happening back then.
Absolutely. All right, Mad City Collector says, do you prefer to be the hosts or the guests of hobby content?
This one's easy.
What is it?
Super easy. Well, like, I'm the host of this one, but I don't really do that much. Nick does all the work. You do more work, way more work than me, so I'm kind of like getting the best of both with this one, but it's a guest because I don't have to do any work.
Yes, yeah. Well, we are basically guests on this podcast, are we not? Because
I hesitated
it's
because
a bunch of questions.
I hesitated because we're the hosts of this, but like, it's not that much work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, the questions just are always great. I think people love the opportunity to have a platform to put their opinion out there. All they have to do is type in the opinion, and then get and have some reactions to it, possibly some criticism to it, which isn't always pleasant. But people, that's pretty cool. But the questions generate the great content, and so yeah, being a guest is great. I mean, yeah, I'm writing that down.
Good one. That's like my early front runner.
Yeah.
My early front runner is the incorrectly quote.
Yes, I have that as well. All right. It is fun being guests on other people's content as well. Because like you get there, you go into their world. You get to bring your opinions and stuff, but they have a strong environment and world and opinions and style that you get to sample without having to be a regular part of it, which is a fun thing to do. I think it's always more difficult and less glamorous to be the host. Ernie Johnson versus Shaq and Chuck and Kenny,
who are the guests, and Ernie does all the work.
Right. Exactly. And then they get all the punchlines,
Yeah.
And Ernie just is steering the ship and having to actually know what happened in the games and, introduce the topics and so forth. Whereas the Ernie Johnson of our show is like the questions.
Yeah. Well, when you and I go on other pods, I always listen to them, but like you and I probably speak like 75 to 80% of the time, and who doesn't want to just like talk about their opinions the whole time, and then the host is the one that has to like edit it and put it together and come up with the topics and figure out how to like present it as something interesting to their audience. And you have no pressure. You're just like, I'm just here talking about myself. This is easy. You can ask me about my cards, maybe even just a little show some of my cards on. This is great.
That's so funny. Yeah. And then like and they usually ends with like the glory of like, yeah, here's my PC and
yeah. And then they're like, send me some pictures. You're like, oh my god, I have to like go screenshot. This is so much work. And they're like, seriously, dude, I'm putting this whole thing together.
I recently went on the Sports Card Lessons podcast with host Big Ken, and I had a great time. Talked a lot, and there was somebody who watched that podcast sent me the first YouTube comment on the video, and it was a guy that said, "Man, this guy just goes on and on. What a drag."
And I responded to that and said, "Yeah, try doing it with him every Friday."
I laughed quite a bit when I saw that. All right, sorry, Ken, for that. All right, Doc collects cards. says, have influencers ever made you root against a player that they are pumping?
Yeah.
Hashtag influence.
This week or?
Yeah, today in the last hour.
I literally am rooting for Desmond Ritter to be the worst player ever. So yeah, Sam Howell last night. I'm like, this guy sucks. I need him to suck. We're some petty people on this team. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. I recently saw some influencer content surrounding Brock Purdy that is really jeopardizing my Brock Purdy is like that indie rock band for me right now that nobody else really gets or understands, and I do. And man, this one really had me almost going the other way on Purdy.
Oh man, Kenny Pickett. I'm trying to think of some other guys.
Oh, there's
I
one.
definitely didn't like Tatum for a while because of that stuff.
How about Trae Young?
Oh yeah, there you go. That was like that's what started it. It's like, oh my god, if I could see one more Trae Young post, this guy's
on the Mount Rushmore of pumped players that you dislike, Trae Young is ahead. Yeah,
he's like the nostalgic. He's the classic. But now I'm just, that he's come way back down in price. It's kind of like I don't need to, kick a man when he's down.
Yeah, that victory lap has turned into a victory marathon.
It just was like so perfect that he made the conference finals, and it's like, oh, this is so great. And then the next year they sucked.
Right. Okay. Goudy Gum would like to know which Instagram accounts are the worst 90s simps / hoarders / pumpers. And I don't want to name any names here. All right. But it's a funny question, and I'll just let those who are in the audience and part of the Instagram community come up with their own names, their own minds.
Or put them in the chat, and then it won't get put into videos, but we can chuckle.
Yep, or that's even better. All right.
Okay,
Bleecker Street Cards.
Joking.
Says, what set will you collect eventually? Knowing that the three of you are not set collectors.
I take offense to this.
Of course you do.
Well, I don't know how you can say I'm not a set collector.
What set do you collect?
I put together the entire master set of 2015-16 Don Russ, the first product I ever ripped went on a run with.
That is true.
I put together sets of players, player sets
with the player sets
with Kleba.
Those are runs, rainbows.
Yeah, rainbows.
And but you're super collecting Kleber as well.
Yeah.
Trying to get all of his cards.
But not anymore. But and then Luck of the Lottery, we're putting together that set in gold BGS 9.5.
True.
So I just.
All right, Christina's exception is noted.
She is officially offended.
Are you?
Surprise.
Are you?
Am I offended? No, I just want to answer the question with none, ever, never. You can't make me.
Agreed. As Christina said, we are trying to complete the Luck of the Lottery set, Prism Gold 2018. And I knew that my heart wasn't in it when somebody bid more than me to win a Michael Porter Jr. From that set. It came up on eBay. I needed it. It was in a BGS 9.5, which is the grade that we've collected it in to date. We have 9 of them, and that would have been the 10th, and there's only 15. And my heart wasn't in it. I let somebody else win that card. And I think that set chase is not going to end well.
Do you have the DeAndre Ayton?
Yes.
Ugh, sell it.
Yeah, I know. That I've earned. Oh, and then another mini set that I put together is the 1999 Upper Deck Century Legends. So that was a really cool set that was celebrating the top 50 players of all time per U.S. Sporting News. And I got the Michael Jordan base card out of 100, and I got the Michael Jordan 10-card subset out of 100. So I completed that little mini set.
There you go.
And I'm bored of it, and I'm I've already sold the base card very recently. I'm probably going to sell the 10-card subset too. It doesn't really do anything for me. I've realized over the last few years that I'm just not a run collector. I'm not a set collector. I'm not a rainbow collector. I'm not any of that. I'm just a simp for the grails.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And if you send them to auction, the bids will finish, but then they won't pay, and then you have to relist half of them, and then you can send them consignment, and then they won't get paid from them, and then the consignment person will not pay you, and then you'll just have them back.
Yep. Or I will send them to collections of a different type.
You taught me this. This was from the wisdom of Chris. Once a player has been traded away from your team, or a card has been sold from your collection, it is your responsibility to hate that thing immediately. So I hate DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul this year. Sorry.
Fair enough. That is the only real way to live.
It's just the way it has to be.
Yeah, it is. I like to pivot to some of the funner questions now. Oh! So Brack's ball card is back with a...
Come on. We have 9 minutes left. We can't dedicate 6 of them to this. I saw this. Do not read all that.
You don't want this one? Look, Brax is upset at the whole locking in losses movement. He didn't like that.
He's really doubling down on this, whatever this is.
All right, that's okay. We'll save this.
Until Brax wants to tell me who he actually is,
yeah,
I don't have time for him anymore.
Yeah,
because it didn't work out well last time someone was anonymous in this hobby.
Ooh.
So fuck off until you show your face.
Okay, that is harsh. I'm not going that far. But look, if 2/3 of the show are not inclined to suffer through a reading of this question, as it is readily available to be read in the comments section, so be it. We will pass on that content for now.
We've been burned by one anonymous. We've been burned by 2 influencers in the last couple months, and I'm a little weary.
Yeah, and Bragg says that he's like the influencer. Like,
he is.
Yeah, so I mean,
he wrote a book on the hobby.
Yeah.
Before
anyone else did.
Before someone else.
Go ahead, finish that sentence. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Well, we did get a question from Collectogram that said, do you have any
dummies?
He said, do you have any literature on investing that you and the team would recommend?
Oh my.
Yes, Bragg's Ball Cards book.
I once purchased a Taxes for Dummies book written by Al Capone. So I think that equates what else is coming out soon.
I love analogies. That's good. It's always good when after someone loses 30 grand on a Desmond Ritter card, that's when you want to learn from them how they did it. That's smart. Yeah. That's good investing strategy.
Well, let's see here. Just a few minutes left. Oh, Accident64 says one topic. Does being the first post, is that important for collectors?
You mean like this episode today?
Yeah. Yes. Is being the first post important for collectors?
I didn't understand what he was like actually referring to.
Yep. You don't understand? You who constantly tries to be first?
I thought this means like the first post of a card on Instagram.
Yeah, like I thought it was like we're all fighting against Nick Uliano to like a picture first.
Nick Uliano's a robot.
There is no point in fighting that battle. He says, here's what he says. Let me read this verbatim slowly. Does being the first posting a comment is important for collector? Okay, the verbiage. I tried to help it out subconsciously as I read it the first time. I thought this was like a joke. He put 2 laughing emojis.
Oh, okay.
I think the joke here is.
Tell us that part. You just fucking left that out. How are we? We don't have the context for a joke.
Like it was serious. Like.
Yeah.
There are 2 laughing emojis.
You're like, yeah. Okay. 70 laughing emojis, and then in parentheses says this is a joke. But I think
like 4 winky faces.
Well, that is the question. and it has been answered. It is very important to me first.
On this show, it is.
Real quick, Publius13 says, how is fantasy football going through week 4? Anyone whooping ass or just a bunch of washed-up running backs and Christian Watson hamstrings?
I'm currently 0-4 in my league, so.
Oof.
Christina's 0-4, but her team is pretty good.
They just can't get their shit together.
She's got some studs. Josh, how's it going for you?
In our league, I think, are you in first?
Nope. Moved into second. I went 0-2 last week, and then somebody's 7-1, and I'm 6-2.
Yeah. We do it where if you win your matchup, you get a win, and then everyone gets a win for being in the top half of overall scoring. So I'm 4-4. You're 6-2. I've had a couple duds, couple surprises. That's how it goes. Cup's coming back this week for me.
That's huge. Yeah, I have Cup in my other league. So
let's go.
I got Cup and Eckler on Cup and Eckler were both hurt for me in the other league. Those are my top 2 picks. And my third pick was Wilson, the receiver for the New York Jets, who just completely got tanked as well when Zach Wilson became his quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I never
doesn't deserve a chance.
Unless I'm drafting obviously if you drafted Christian McCaffrey, you're in pretty good shape, but all the other top running backs again are bad. It's like every year they get hurt, or I have Kyron Williams, who I got off waivers. He's my best running back.
That was a nice pickup.
What's the point of even drafting good running backs?
I know. I mean, I got Raheem Mostert as my last pick of the draft.
Best running back.
He's totally my best running back. Aaron Jones was my main running back.
I'm saying he's hurt. Aaron, I looked at the list. It's it's a joke. Eckler, Aaron Jones, Barkley. It's every year we always are this is get the top running backs because they're scarce. Yeah, but you can get top running backs later in the draft that just it's because they haven't been beaten to the ground the last 5 years. They just come out of nowhere. They're fresh legs.
Yeah. All right. Great show tonight. I'm lying. It was fine. It was average. Let's see. Let's pick a title. Maybe the title can put a little cherry on top. Let's go through the list here. Thank you, Stiff Arm Wax, for collecting these titles. First up is I Would Rather Not Look at Us.
That's every week. Yep.
Every week. LeBron Chipotle Refractor.
Those are 3 of my favorite words, just right in a row there. That's just good stuff.
I do like that one a lot.
It's just 3 awesome words. I like it.
Junk Bounty Era. How do I buy this place?
Oh, that's what I say when I walk into Chipotle's.
Oh, got it. All right. Double meat for free. That would be an awkward. I don't know what Nick would do for the thumbnail for that one.
I want to know, so let's name it that just to see.
But you could put after it, you could put the chicken leg and the steak emoji or something.
I just don't want anything with big letters that says double meat for free, and then it's my smiling face and Josh's smiling face.
Yeah, I love that we could, really show off Nick's creativity, but then again, I also don't because my face is on it.
All right, then we have my Frasier-esque, emphatically, dramatically, and probably incorrectly.
You have to type all that shit out of me. So.
Yeah, it's not worth the effort.
You're pain
They just make you suffer.
Yeah. Plus, I uttered those words in honor of Frasier's return next week to Paramount Plus.
Oh,
I'm excited.
Oh, great! Might as well just get ready for you to not text me ever again. You'll be you're gonna start talking like him. You're gonna talk all snobby now.
That is absolutely in the cards. If I really like how the show goes and I'm really into it and I'm watching the episodes, there's gonna be a transatlantic twinge on everything I say next week.
And we'll probably, if it's good, we'll probably rewatch the whole series.
All right, let me get through the rest of this list. The next one is the infinite percentage boost. That's going from 0 to 1.
I love that.
We are the guests on this podcast. that's that. I don't know how that title plays if somebody just looks and sees it. And then Victory Marathon. That's very optimistic. All right. So what do we narrow this down? We are the guests on this podcast. I think that was just a consensus winner.
You know what? I don't think I'll ever have the chance to have my 3 favorite words.
Yeah.
So I gotta, you know, it's like I can only run for president once. I might as well go all in.
The LeBron Chipotle Refractor.
I'll throw my name in the hat for that. It's completely selfish. It's just ridiculous. It makes no sense. But
I vote for that.
Put the burrito at the bottom.
I totally a burrito. Wait, is there an emoji for a burrito?
Yeah.
Can you confirm? If there is, I know there's a taco emoji.
Why is this? What is this one? Like, why did I say LeBron before? I don't understand.
We were coming up with different taco fractor spinoffs.
Oh, the LeBron Superfractor to redeem for lifetime. Oh, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, it works. It definitely works. It's good. That was my favorite one.
Or double meat, because
Nope, not do it. All right, we could do LeBron Chipotle Refractor, parentheses, double meat for free.
See, that's kind of going against the spirit of the game. We can't combine 2 captions, so.
Fair. All right. Well, about 20 people just dropped off when we started naming the show. So that's time to go. We will see you guys next week.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just 1 click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.